February 27th. It seems to be Steph Curry's special day, right?
The great Toby Keith said, I might not be as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I've ever been. And Steph Curry once can be what he's ever been, as good as he's ever been. And I mean, a guy that shoots the long ball the way he does, as good as he does. And it's not like Orlando was letting him shoot. Like, he was doing everything that he could to get shots off, tough shots. And it's Steph Curry. I thought Orlando did everything that they could to play the defense that they tried to play. They doubled him, they blitzed him, they got the ball out of his hands, but it didn't matter because he's got that kind of game that once he gets going, he's virtually impossible. And I think he only took he took 23 shots yesterday. 25 shots yesterday. He made 16 of them. 13 of them was threes. That's who Steph Curry is. That's his game. I know it sounds nuts, Ox. So I mean that
don't sound nuts, Joe.
Right. But that's his game. That's who he is. So once he gets going, now don't be surprised if you get like a 17-point game from Curry the next time they play, or a 19-point game, because just the law of averages. But Curry is able to still, just blow the spot like he did yesterday. He's able to do that once or twice. He can still do that.
Hey, Swiper, how you doing, buddy?
He's the most.
You good down there?
What's that on your head?
What's that on your head?
It's a regular hat. I'm trying to hear what you got on. You got on a Seattle hat today. Okay. Thought it was a Bucks hat or something.
Seattle Mariners.
Steph Curry's still the most dangerous man that ever walked on the basketball court.
Ox, when you first said that to me, I thought you was nuts. But now the more that I think about it, I don't know.
He's still the truth is the truth. The fact still remains that he's regressed. He's still not the same Steph Curry he once was. Right. But I mean, we talk about it. And matter of fact, Mars did you make that tweet yesterday, or that just happened to? Did you say it a couple of days ago about him having a tool, the most dangerous?
No, it was yesterday during the explosion. I think it was after you made the half court shot. I think.
Right. See, but that's something we talked about before, where I've mentioned, like, Steph Curry, he has something in his repertoire that can combat anything you got. Like, you can have anything, and Steph Curry heat up, and it's just like, man, what are we even on the side of the court for? You know what I'm saying? Like, he can do anything he wants to us. You know what I mean? Steph Curry definitely is the most dangerous man that we've ever seen walk on the basketball court.
Ever seen,
Ryan? Ever seen? Like, I don't think Steph Curry is the GOAT. I don't think Steph Curry is the best offensive player ever. I don't think Steph Curry. I don't got Steph Curry in my top 10 yet. But with that being said, though, Ryan, he has something. We've witnessed it for like what 14, 15 years now. 16 years. We came on 9. Bro, we've seen it time and time again. Steph Curry has one of the, like, bro, the gun he has is unfadable.
To Ox's point, when you're talking about, there's a difference between a player and being dangerous. And in terms of how dangerous Steph Curry is, how lethal he is, you have to be very careful on how you run up on him, because how dangerous he is. I mean, we got other guys who have things in their repertoire. I personally think that, I mean, to your point, Ox, you was talking about how dangerous Curry is. I mean, I think Jabbar has the most lethal shot in NBA history. You can't block this. You can't stop this. I think you can do something to slow down what Curry has. However, if he gets that going, it's almost impossible to deal with.
Can you give me a time where it was slowed down?
When it was slowed down?
Mm-hmm.
It was slowed down in the NBA Finals against Toronto in 2019. It was slowed down.
I don't know if that's fair.
It was slowed down in
a boxing one.
Yeah, I don't know if that's fair. I don't know.
I mean, first and foremost, you have to do what you have to do to slow somebody down. Let's be clear about that.
To be fair,
once boxing one, and he gave him 47 in that series and averaged 30 and like +6 true shooting.
Yes,
that was 100%. Slowed down.
Yes,
but then also they were also winning. They're on their way to winning too before Clay went down, and then it was him and like Aaron McKee out there basically. Like, I guess situationally, if you gave him like the worst
Alfonso
roster,
McKinney.
Yeah, I know. I was making a comparison between Aaron McKee. If we had an Iverson argument, should he get the ball more?
Here's the thing that Swiper does. Hold on for a second. Here's the thing that Swiper does. Swiper challenges like Steph Curry has never been slowed down. So let's talk about Steph Curry getting slowed down. I don't want to talk about the postseason, right? Because if he's never been slowed down, then he would have won. Every time he's been around, he would have won. He would have contributed to winning every time. That would have happened. That's not that wasn't
bad
the case.
games. Therefore, he's
games. But that's the point.
Every
That's
player's had bad games,
right?
though.
Which means you've been slowed down. That's the point.
Yes,
it does.
But then the same applies to Kareem. Then the same applies.
Yeah,
to
100%. It's 100%.
Well, you just said he had the unstoppable shot. Nobody could stop though.
But it's been slowed down.
But he has
made the
5
parallel
of
to Kareem.
25
That's what last day
games.
only reason I
24
said
games.
Who, Jabbar?
Yeah, he has games where he didn't make shots.
More than Curry?
I didn't say more than Curry. But
played
comparing a
closer to the
3-point
basket.
shot, comparing a 3-point shot efficiency to a jump hook are two different things. So to be fair.
Why is it different?
Because it's harder to make a 3-pointer than it is to make a
one's
jump
worth
hook at
1
7
point
foot.
less. So
But he doesn't only even if it is closer to the rim, he doesn't always shoot it at the basket. Jabbar has a 15-foot sky hook that he also shot, which is extremely difficult.
Sports medicine disagrees with you about 7-footers having a rough time. If they worked on it just as much as guard 7-footers, just based on size and stuff like that, it's actually easier for them to make threes than shorter guys. That's just sports science. That's not.
Did they have reasoning behind that? Or is
if you think about it,
it's somewhere from where the height of where the ball leaves and the arc to get into the rim.
Well, let me ask you this, Mars.
I watched it on ESPN or Sport. You know the show?
Sports medicine.
I call it sports medicine.
Skipping. Yeah.
Sports science.
I
understood what you meant. I understood what you meant. But Mars,
that was a great show, Ox. I wish they'd bring it back.
If you think about what is Wemby 7'4", so him looking at the basket at the long ball line, it looks a lot different than how Curry looks at the basket at the long ball line. I mean, he's taller. There's definitely different depth. I mean, I'm almost a foot taller than you, and the basket looks a lot different. So, I mean, that doesn't mean that he's a better shooter than Steph Curry. I'm not going to argue that. No, but I mean, being taller has its advantages, no doubt about that. But to get back, to get back to Ox's point about how dangerous Steph Curry is, I mean, when I think about Jabbar and I think about the sky hook, I think about how dangerous that was, and it was virtually impossible. He is the all-time leading scorer in NBA history, virtually because of that, and it was for 40 years, by the way. Nobody had done it in 40 years.
Well, LeBron wasn't born yet, so
nobody had done it in 40 years.
I know, but LeBron had to,
and nobody had done it in 40 years. And whoever is breaking Steph Curry's record, he's probably not born yet.
I don't know, man. Who knows, bro? I'm not gonna lie to you. Who knows?
I'm gonna get to. I'm glad.
With the way the game has changed, I expect whatever Steph sets his record at, it will be broken sooner rather than later. They won't be a better shooter than.
I don't know, Mark.
It's not a Wayne.
I'm pretty sure Anthony Edwards is 23 and has already made 1,000 threes.
Yes, sir. He has.
What's Steph at right now?
Like nearly 4,000.
Steph's gonna end up over 5,000.
Steph's gonna retire probably above or around 5,000, which I'm fine with. I just think the way the game has changed and how many threes are being shot.
So this is Ant's 5th year.
Yeah, this is year 5.
So if he's made 1,000 in year 5, that means he has to do this.
And this is his first year as his first year as an elite shooter.
I understand that. He has to maintain it.
But it doesn't have to be Ant. I'm just using Ant as a 23. He hasn't been a great shooter. But Ant's
a great. That's a great person though. That's a great example to use. So at 23, I got 1,000. That could be a good parameter. At 23, I got 1,000. You still have to do it the next 5 years over and over and over. You gotta have longevity. You gotta beat the health bug. It's just so much that goes into it.
I think Trae Young for the next. I actually have this information. I gotta find it. I'm sorry. You guys keep talking about
1,200. Trae Young is.
What are you asking for?
I'm gonna find this information for the guys, just so you guys know. Excuse me I'll be right back because I actually have this information.
While he's digging that up, I do want to talk about February 27th and how that, for some reason, is just the day where Steph gets activated. Mars, maybe because it's after All-Star break, maybe because it's not in December, maybe because he's finally got over the Thanksgiving hangover, but whatever the case may be, on February 27th, Steph just puts on a masterclass. So obviously last night he hit 12 threes, had 56 points. Well, February 27th in 2016, I know you guys remember a game in OKC where Steph also made 12 threes, and that wasn't even the best part of this game in OKC. I know you guys remember that half-court buzzer beater that Steph Curry hit to silence Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. That's the shot that froze the whole nation. everything just stopped. The power went out in like 20 different states or whatever. Well, that was February 27th. And then you go back to February 27th in 2013. This is when Steph Curry put up 54 in the Garden. So I don't know what it is, but 9 years ago, 13 years ago, or 12 years ago, 9 years ago, and yesterday, Steph Curry just went berserk.
That OKC game being 9 years ago is ridiculous. That's the game that basically secured his unanimous MVP, if I remember correctly. Like he did that, and then it was like, yeah, it's his MVP. The last month and a half doesn't even matter. He's the MVP. But yeah, I mean, last night Steph was ridiculous. I mean, he made that half-court shot, and then the third quarter he just went on a heater. Like in the last 5 games, I feel like he's had 3 different 20-point quarters. Like he just starts exploding, and there's nothing you can do. And yeah, I think Steph's ability to shoot the ball is the best singular ability any NBA player has had in anything ever. Like I don't think anything really compares to Steph's ability to shoot. And I don't understand how he's so good at it. And sometimes I'll be catching myself, I'll be hating. I'm like, if you really think about it and how shooting is more than just threes, could I make an argument that someone else is the best shooter ever? And then I just watch Steph and I'm like, yeah, I can't do that. It's not possible. There's no one who shoots better than him. It's ridiculous. And with how important the 3-point shot and shooting in general has become, it just made him infinitely more powerful, if that makes sense. And he still regressed. Like I know some people started victory lapping when we were talking about how he's regressed, and I was talking about how he regressed. It's like, where's all that regression now? It's like, well, he's obviously still regressed, but he's still amazing, and there's nothing you can do about if he can get his shot off. And he won them that game last night. Him and Quinton Post. Shout out to Quinton Post. But he won them that game.
Shout out to Quinton Post.
He won them that game last night. There was no one else really had anything going offensively, but Steph was just destroying that Orlando defense. And that's a good Orlando defense. I was watching them try everything, literally everything, to not allow Steph to get shots up. And he's just relentless in moving, beating people off the bounce. He gets a sliver of daylight. He knows you're jumping. He's up faking. He's just going to wait for you to fly by. Then he's got a shot. It's just, there's nothing you can really do. So yeah, shout out to Steph. That was for sure amazing. I enjoyed watching every second of it.
Yo, Mars. So obviously we just kind of went back and forth a little bit about whether Steph Curry's record would be broken.
Mm-hmm.
And anything can happen. Records are meant to be broken. But I want to ask you a question that's a step further.
Okay.
Will we ever see a shooter as good as Steph?
Yeah,
in our lifetime. You think so?
But this is because I think everything gets better. It's the way the game evolves. I expect there to be a better player than LeBron James. I expect there to be a better shooter than Steph Curry. I expect there to be a better passer than Magic Johnson at some point. I expect all of those things to happen because I don't expect people who were the best 60 years ago to still be the best 60 years later. Whether I'm still alive when that shooter comes around is a different question. But at some point, yes, I think someone will come around who shoots the ball better than Steph Curry shot it. And that's not a knock on Steph Curry because how far ahead of the rest of the pack he was at his time, that's going to be hard to match because he was so far ahead of the rest of the world at the time in which he ascended and became what he became. I don't know if anyone will be that. I don't know if anyone will be that far ahead of everyone else with the way the game progresses. But in terms of just individual, who's the better shooter, Steph Curry or this guy? I expect someone to be better than that. Now, that doesn't mean, like I said, that doesn't mean I'm going to be around to see it, but I do expect at some point. The NBA keeps going for 200 years. I think someone will be able to shoot the ball better than Steph Curry in 2020.
NBA not going nowhere, right?
That's all I'm saying. You get enough time, I expect someone to be better than him. So, that's all it really is. But
I'm just
so Ron
to believe it because it's not just the shot, it's the handle with the shot. It's the off-ball movement. It's everything. I hate to step in and interrupt this intense yap session that you're currently watching, but I just have to inform you on all the amazing, spectacular, fabulous, endless ways to play and win over at Prize Picks. Basketball fans, I know the season is just tipping off. Yes, I know this. But you know what that means? It means that you have an opportunity to pick your favorite players and they're matchups that are the most thrilling, and you can win money from these. With Prize Picks, you can play daily NBA contests and test your hoop knowledge by choosing the player projections and every single stat line imaginable to make your Prize Picks and take home some nice hard-earned cash. Are you a rookie in the game? Don't even sweat it. I got the playbook for you right here. All you have to do is download Prize Picks, use promo code PANEL, and you will get $50 instantly when you play 5 here with Prize Picks. So what are you waiting for? Download Prize Picks, use promo code PANEL, and join me as we break down all of our amazing daily picks right here on the panel. Prize Picks. Run your game, control your game, win your game. It's easy, baby. It's easy.
That's
The
what a
distance
separator
you can
is with
shoot
me.
from, the quickness of the release. It's the combination of everything. Maybe somebody will shoot a better percentage. Maybe somebody will shoot.
People
higher
already
volume.
shoot better percentages. People already shoot better
relative to volume, though.
I do want to talk.
No. No one's come close. Maybe
Yes.
Dame has been the closest. He got like 40% a couple years on like 10 attempts, but no one's got close.
That's where I was at a second ago. Two things to that. Steph Curry's ability to get that shot off at 6'3" and create that space off the dribble, off the catch, really is another thing. That's obviously his just pure shooting ability separates him already, but his ability to get the shot off, and a lot of that, a lot of that, but some of that comes from his off-ball movement, working early. You know what I'm saying? Running from this corner, not just moving side to side and shifting, but actually getting his feet moving, getting somewhere, getting his feet set quick, always being ready to shoot, being like doing the work early is so important. You know, having your kickstand up, ready to catch the ball, ready to shoot, step in, bang. So I don't got to catch the ball and then shoot. You know what I'm saying? You catch it, bow, it's gone. All those things make a great shooter. Those make a generational level shooter.
Ox,
Like,
you preach doing work early. You preach doing work early a lot.
You have to. I mean, we could get into it, chill, because that comes on defense. Yep. That's rebounding. You know what I mean? Shooting, all types of things. In basketball, if you work early, it makes your job so much easier.
It sounds like I got to be a step ahead before the action happens. I got to see the game 1-2 plays ahead before this happens. That kind of reminds me of how Joker is on offense. Like he sees the game a play or two ahead before anything happens. Like he's doing his work before he even gets the ball. He's looking at the action before he gets the ball. But Mars, really quickly, to give you some idea, because I know you're a numbers guy, to give you an idea, this was taken 3 years ago. Damian Lillard, who was in year 11 at that point, he would have to play 11 more seasons and shoot and make 253s in order to catch Steph Curry. Luka would have to play, and this was Luka in year 4, he would have to play 15 more seasons and crack 253s per season to catch Luka. Trae Young also, he'd have to play 13 more seasons and crack over 223s per season to catch Steph Curry. His brother, and this was when Klay Thompson was on the crew in Golden State. He would have to play, this was 3 years ago, Klay would have to play 11 more seasons and crack over 200 threes per season to catch Steph Curry. I'm not the smartest guy, but and again, I tell you guys this a lot. I take good care of myself. I'm not going to be alive to see the next guy do it. I'm not.
Hey, my question would be, how the hell did Steph even get on that? Like, how did he get to that, missing the first couple seasons and injuries? He just my question, like, where do we even start? That's the question. Well, like, where do we even start?
He started breaking the single season record year after year.
Yes,
like
I know. I'm just saying. Yes, I'm just saying though. It's kind of like, God, dog.
Well, Jordan, you probably. I don't know if you remember. He cracked 300.
No, he was cracking them early.
He cracked 300 like 2014 or whatever it was. Because that was the record. Right. It was 4, and then it was 400 was the record that he cracked, and then he kept setting that. Yes, what I'm saying.
Like, does that even sound correct? What we doing?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
6 threes a game. What's happening right
now? He shot 45% that year, by the way.
Bro, that's making like 5 or 6 threes a game. What are we doing, yo?
That's exactly what I'm saying, bro.
When it's happening, I think we were all equally as shocked, some more than others. But this was written though. Like when you go back and look at it, this was written. Like this was bound to happen. This wasn't by
I don't
accident.
know. I don't think it's by accident.
This was by design though, Jordan. You got to look at his brother. His brother's a hell of a shooter. You know what I'm saying?
I know, but bro, 400 threes in a season is crazy.
It come from his pops though, like how we were saying earlier. It come from his pops. It come from working early. He put that work in early. He been out there working on that form, getting that release right. Man, this was written,
but the idea that he can make look, I get it with the form and being there. We're not talking about him just being a good shooter. I don't know what Mars talking about. There's nobody. I don't think there's nobody ever gonna catch that. Like I don't think nobody ever gonna mount to the shooter that Steph is going. Like Steph is. Like ever. Like I just can't see it, bro. Like because we couldn't see it to begin with, and it's like now it ain't.
I'm sure there were people in the '60s who were like, they'll never be a better player than Wilt, and then he came along. And I'm sure there were people who saw the '80s and they're like, they'll never. Yeah,
but we just talking about one specific skill, though. We talking about one specific skill, though.
Yeah, but Jordan.
Yeah, but I'm sure that. But what I'm saying is, I'm sure there were people who were watching the '60s. Like I'm sure there were people who were watching the '50s and saw Bill Sharman shoot, and they're like, no one will be able to shoot like this guy. And then Jerry West came. You doubt it because you weren't around. What I'm saying is, what people are watching unfold, they have a hard time grasping it gets better than this. This is why nostalgia exists. Because when you watch when you're a developing person, you always think what you saw developing is the best it will ever be. That's why people who grew up in the 2000s think there'll never be a better era than the 2000s, etc. So what I'm saying, when the NBA first came around, when the NBA first came around, and Bill Sharman was the best shooter in the NBA, there were probably some 12, 13-year-olds who were like, no one will ever shoot as good as Bill Sharman. Then Jerry West and Oscar Robertson came around, and they could shoot better than Bill Sharman. So then them kids who were watching the 60s were like, he shoot better than Bill Sharman. And ain't no one ever going to shoot as good as Jerry West or Oscar Robertson again. And then the 80s came along, and Larry Bird came around. And it was like, ain't no one ever going to shoot as good as Larry Bird.
I think you're actually doing it right now.
I'm not doing it right now. We're talking about a man who made 400 threes in one season. Right. Nobody going to make 300. Who's going to make 300?
There's people that have already made 300.
Yeah, but to Mark's point, I think
James Harden made 386.
Yeah, 378, and then Klay Thompson has 301.
Yeah, James Harden made 378 on cutbacks.
And that's James Harden.
But Mars, you got
number 3 all time.
All I'm saying is that at some point, someone will come around. That's all I'm saying. At some point.
But Mars, this is the difference with that though. My thing is, I'm with you. Like I'm with you on this one, Jordan. As far as I don't think nobody's gonna break Steph's record, but the reasoning because behind it, Mars, it's not like to combat what you're saying. It's just that how would the game look if we got guys to catch Steph? I don't think the amount of threes, like I don't think the game's gonna keep going in that direction to where we got
level out. You think?
I do. I think it would level out. I just don't see somebody being as consistent as Steph for that long.
That's what I'm saying.
In a game that's not going to keep going this way. Like I think the game will continue to evolve. But what are we going to do? We're going to have guys shooting 23s a game regularly.
I don't think anyone has to match Steph's peak output, and maybe someone will get to 400 in a season. For reference, that means you have to play all 82 games and make 5 threes a game. Like
for how many years?
No, to break 400 in a season.
Just in one season.
So that season you'd have to make it's actually 4.91, but you can't do that. So 5 threes a game.
That's crazy.
5 threes a game and play every single game,
bro.
Like that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Like 5 threes in a game, assuming you shoot 40%. That's a lot.
Played 79 games that year, so
he played 79. So he made 5.1 a game, I think. So do I think anyone will hit 402 in a season? Maybe not. But what I do think is when Steph came in, he was making less than 200 threes a season those first 3 years.
That's what
the
I'm
one
saying.
Year he got hurt. The one year he got hurt in 2012. Then his first 2 years, he was actually shooting a lot of mid-range jumpers, a lot of deep twos. If you remember watching rookie Steph, with the way the game has changed, I think there can be players who come into the league with such a fast head start on Steph Curry in terms of the threes they make their first 2-3 seasons that they don't need to match the peak output of Steph because they will have like a 203 cushion after about 3 seasons because they have that advantage of coming into a league where we don't want to take deep twos. So when those deep twos turn into threes, instead of making 166 threes, we're making 250, which is why the rookie 3-point record breaks year after year because rookies are coming in shooting more threes. That's why I think the overall record could be broken because you don't need to have Steph's peak output. You don't need to make 402, 337, 324. You don't need to do that. You just need to be consistently coming into the league 250, 250, 300, 250.
Yeah, sound good, but I just don't think so.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's easy. Of course, it's not easy.
Yeah,
but I do think that will happen at some point. That some.
But also,
I think this idea though, that somebody, I think that's the problem. Like, there's no way to quantify time and development, skill development, plus just like we've had this conversation about like evolution, like over the course of like 40 years, what you're going to see. We had this conversation with Trey on the episode 500 about like, will the world be able to take over or develop to get to a point where they can surpass the US in basketball? Well, I mean, yeah, you give like humans enough time and you give them enough free lane forward without like running into environmental issues and, you know, all social structure issues. And you say like, go progress. Well, I mean, 40 years from now, like we could have that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no limit to what somebody's going to be able to do at some point in time. So I do think we get there. If
Michael Jordan,
LeBron, but there's already got a mic.
Real quick. This is just
athletic wise. We do. Go ahead.
This is just
about athleticism. We're talking about player. There's no Mike.
We got LeBron.
There's no LeBron.
There is a LeBron.
No, there's no LeBron. And then
I'm watching LeBron. We have a Wemby. There's a Wemby that's existing today. He's everything that we ever thought.
All you need is one per generation.
Wemby ain't LeBron.
But listen, that's exactly what I'm saying. Look, this is where I'm putting Steph at. There's, you know how people compare people. He's the next LeBron James. Cap. There will never be no next LeBron James. There will never be no next Michael Jordan. There will never be no next Steph. Add Steph to that.
I'm fine with
it.
But
yeah, that's all I'm saying.
For reference, after 9 seasons in the NBA, Steph had made 2,129 threes.
It's almost a decade.
That's amazing. Buddy Hield is in his 9th season and has made 2,073.
But Mars, here's the thing.
And Buddy Hield isn't close to Steph, but the number is comparable. And his 9th season isn't even over yet. So Buddy Hield after 9 years might have more threes made.
And that's cool. What are you finna do from 9 or from year 10
But that's my point.
20?
That's my point. And Buddy Hield sucks. He can match Steph after 9 years. So imagine a player
as a shooter, no. You can say as a basketball player, but as a shooter, no.
So imagine someone who is good enough to play 30 minutes a game, who is good enough to come into the league at 19 instead of 23 like Buddy Hield did. Now imagine that. So you get longevity because you come in 4 years earlier. You're a good basketball player, so you can play more minutes, and you're not a liability on the court if you're not shooting the ball. Imagine that player.
Steph.
But see that's the thing though too, Mars.
Imagine that player comes along.
You describing a hell of a player.
Just in terms of sheer volume, they might be able to get to where Steph got to. That's all I'm saying. They're not going to be a better shooter than Steph just because they have more threes made than Steph. I'm not saying that. But in terms of the logistics of getting to that record, yes, I think it's entirely possible. That's all I'm saying.
It's a difference between.
I mean, obviously, anything is possible. Anything is possible.
So
it's not probable, but anything is possible.
I just went down Steph's whole career in the threes that he's made. First off, I do want to say this dude is shooting 47% on his career or 9 attempts per game, which is just
47.
47?
47 from the field, maybe from three.
From the field. Oh, that is from the field. My bad.
Yeah,
42.
47% from 3 on 9 attempts.
Hey, all right, 42. My bad, 42. But on 9 attempts,
big difference.
Ridiculous.
I guess, big difference.
It is a big difference. It is a big difference. But 42 is still ridiculous on 9 attempts. But here's the thing. So I took Steph's first year out, which was 166. I took his second year out, which was 151. I took the year he got injured, the first time he got injured, 55 threes, took that out, and took the other year he got injured where he only made 12 threes, and I took that out. Steph is still at 3,573. And keep in mind, this year he's at 210 and still counting. And I also want to throw out last year, 357 threes that he made was the second most in his career in year what? I was 16 last year.
He made 3,000. He's made 3,500 threes in 12 seasons. Is what you just said.
Basically, what I'm saying.
3,500 threes in 12 years.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. He's led the league in threes made. I want to say like 8 times. And the only times he didn't was either years he didn't play the full season because he got hurt, or because James Harden decided to shoot 13 threes a game. Those are the only times he didn't do it. So, yeah, I keep saying, I don't think in singular season volume. I don't know if we're going 400. I have a strong case. I have a strong belief that no one's probably going to hit 400. But in terms of cumulative volume, solely because Steph Curry's the first few years, I do think it's possible that someone eventually will get to that point. But I'm also not willing to die on the hill. Someone's gonna catch Steph Curry. Like, I don't think that's gonna make them the best shooter. It's like I don't think LeBron breaking Kareem's record made him the best scorer ever. Like, I think he has a strong argument, but I don't think it took to him to pass Kareem for that to be the argument. I don't think Kareem having the record made him the best scorer ever. So, like, I don't think having the most ever at something makes you the best at it. But I do think at some point someone will come along who's better than Steph at shooting. The same way I think there'll be someone who comes along who might be a better athlete than LeBron, or there might be someone who comes along who's a better passer than Magic, etc., etc. I just think as time goes on, those things will happen.
Wait, Morris. So the most will make the best. Does Ray still have action?
Not be serious. Be serious. Them Ray conversations died like a decade ago.
I'll leave it alone for the sake of time.
I don't think you actually believe Ray's a better shooter than Steph. I don't think you believe that, especially not anymore.
I think that I don't. The separation between Steph and other shooters is him being able to crack a 25-footer accurately off the bounce. Like, nobody can do that. Like,
Dame can do that.
I don't think you have to do that.
He's a better off the dribble 25-foot 3-point shooter than anyone else that's ever existed. Damian Lillard, 100%.
25 plus,
yes,
better than Dame. Better than Steph
off the dribble.
This is. I think Steph is the best shooter ever. I think Steph is the best shooter ever. But that does not mean I think he's the best at every subsection of shooting.
No, there is no comparison.
And I feel the same way.
If you ask me who has the best range in NBA history, is Dame to me. Like, Dame has the deepest range in NBA history, in my opinion.
Yeah, Dame is the best off the dribble deep 3-point shooter ever, over Steph, including Steph.
What are you basing that on?
Like, what years of they track this stuff too. Like, he literally is like the GOAT, cross half court, step, dribble to the side, to the right, to the left, dribble into it off a screen or just into an open court.
Curry does that too.
What do you mean it's not true? No, I didn't
say it's not true. I said Curry does that too, and Curry does that.
He's never done it at the volume. He's never done it at the volume that Dame has.
That's why I think.
I don't think he wants to though, Fiber.
No, that's fine. But I'm telling him objectively, like, it's Dame. Like, Dame is the definition of that. Like, that's why Dame is not going to get the historical credit for what he's done. But it's him. He is him.
He can. If we show him enough love, he can. It can start right
he
here.
Can get that. I'm not going to argue that because Dame absolutely can. Dame can absolutely shoot it off the bounce. I think Curry is better, deeper than Curry.
Because that's not
Steph Curry.
Because you've even seen games. You've seen games where Damian Lillard has done that multiple times. Like you've also seen games
when Steph Curry's done
close.
Yeah, Swiper, for your argument purposes. I get what you're saying about Dame doing it, but also I will argue, like, for Chill's point, you haven't seen games with Steph just doing it and bricking. Like, when he does it, he damn near makes it. Like, so like, you seen volume from Dame, you haven't seen as much volume from Steph, like, as much as Dame does it. So, like, that's what I'm saying. So you can't say that Dame is better from deep than Steph Curry because Dame does it a lot more.
I can't say it though. I'm saying that because I'm telling y'all, we've literally have done this before. Like, Trae Young is also one of the best at it ever. It's Dame, Steph, and Trae who are generational in terms of crossing the half court line and being able to execute a 3-point shot from distance. Those are the three best ever. I said Trae.
These are the three guys. Okay, I'm with you.
I thought you were talking about. I didn't hear Steph.
Yeah, I'm saying that Dame is the one though that truly turned up the volume and then the accuracy to be able to hit that consistently. Like we've been tracking this really. Cause remember, Dame started doing that like 16, 17, 18. Like I think Steph was the one that, like, for the rest of the league was like, damn, we can start hitting deep 3-pointers now. But then what happened is Dame was like, bet. Now I'm going to start dribbling into it off of screens, and I'm going to hit you from 30 feet out within the context of a game, or let alone to close a game. Like, Dame was the one that really started taking it over the top with that. He just played in Portland, and no one cared if he wouldn't win anything.
And Curry was doing that too. And not only was Curry doing that, he played in Golden State where nobody cared until he started doing it. Nobody cared about what was going on in Golden State until Curry got up there. People couldn't care less what was going on with him. And to Ox's point, when Ox talked about, I mean, the game changing, we literally just had a conversation yesterday that the game's changed from 2019 to today. literally, that the game has changed. It's not the same game. In fact, Swiper just told me that from 23, the game has changed. So with that, even if we do have guys coming in that are shooting more threes, you still have to sustain that. Mars, Steph Curry shot almost 900 threes last year. Last year alone. And at 35 years old, he shot almost 900 threes. Just
and
last
did it
year
at 40%.
alone.
Yeah,
Just last year alone. And to your point, you talked
shit.
about him. You talked about him. I think he's led the league in attempts seven or eight times. At minimum, he's shooting 600 threes a game. Like, that's primarily his game. And with the accuracy that he shoots at, not only with the accuracy he shoots at, to Swiper's point, talking about off the bounce, Steph Curry was clutch player of the year. He wasn't clutch player of the year just because it was catch and shoot. He was clutch player of the year because it was clutch player of the year.
Last year, right? Or the year before?
I think it was 2 years ago.
No, that was Fox won 2 years ago.
Fox won it.
Steph won it. Steph won
Did he
it.
win last year?
He won it last season.
Then it was last season.
That's what I thought. Last season.
Yeah,
Steph won it last season.
yeah, we were one. Yeah.
So with that being said, he's not just catching and shooting. I think that I think when I think about a long ball shooter, I think about what separates you. Kind of like a big man. Ox, you shoot the jump hook. Another 6'9" guy shoots the jump hook. Well, why is your jump hook more effective than this guy's jump hook? Well, maybe it's your body. It's how you separate yourself from him. How your offhand is keeping him away from you. When you put the ball on the floor and you bump him, how much separation do you get from him? When I think about a long ball shooter in Curry, well, how much separation do you get? How good are you with the peel off the bounce? How quick is your release? What kind of shots do you shoot? And when I think about Steph Curry, bad shots for other people are good shots for Steph Curry.
That's a fact.
And the reason, and the reason why they're good shots for Steph Curry, because they go in. And
Chill,
for a guy
Chill. I want you to come back to that too, because I was just basing on what your point is. You also have to remember, for anybody to even break Steph Curry's record, so many things have to go right. Like, you have to be a guy that they allow to shoot as much as Steph in the game, which is rare, number one. Number two, you have to, like,
essentially, you got to be a superstar or a
star.
star.
You got to be a superstar. And your superstar specialty, like, how many people's superstar specialty has been shooting like Steph's? Like, that's his specialty. How many people?
Like that.
Usually they specialty be getting to the basket. They can post up. They got an all-around game. Steph is, I mean, maybe I could be wrong. Somebody gonna tell me. But my specialty is what I do when I shoot that basketball.
Dale Ellis
you think who else has
Dale Ellis wasn't a superstar. Dale Ellis
Dame
was
Lillard.
a superstar.
Yeah, Dame Lillard.
Dame superstar. Dame had an all-around game when he first came to Portland. He was all around.
No, I know, but Dame
dunking on people. Steph don't be dunking on people.
His specialty was a shot, though. Dame's specialty, but even with that being said,
that was part of his game, Ron. That was just part of his game.
Yeah,
I mean, I hate to break it to y'all. 3-point shooting's part of Steph's games too. Like, let's not act like Steph doesn't get to the mid range. Let's not act like Steph doesn't have floaters and can finish. And let's not act like Steph doesn't pass the shit out the ball too. Let's not act like that.
Steph was one of the. That's where this whole, like, I remember there was this whole narrative about Steph for like 2 years that he didn't have like a dribble package. Like, Steph had one of the best handle packages in the NBA for years, and he was breaking people down off the dribble and getting to the rim. Steph was one of the best finishing guards we have ever seen, like, for years in his prime.
I don't think so, Swiper. Not the best.
This is what I'm trying to understand. If I know something factually, and then you are telling me that it's not true, I know he is, because the volume and then the accuracy with Steph was finishing at the rim was literally like Kyrie, Steph, and other guards that are elite above the rim.
We had that conversation. Jordan, before you got on the show. Jordan, before you got on the show, we actually had a conversation about Steph being one of the better guard finishers in the game. We had that conversation.
Okay, as far as volume, what is the volume for his finishing?
Well, he's clearly not shooting
compared
one way
to everybody else.
No,
I'm saying compared to everybody else, like compared to the best guard finishers in the NBA or in history. What is his volume of finishing at the rim?
Well, he doesn't get to the rim as much as Kyrie Irving does. No,
how can he be one of the best guard finishers at the rim?
Yo, Jordan, like, so coming through the 20 teens, you had obviously Kyrie. Right. Kyrie's kind of in a class of his own.
Russell
and
Westbrook.
you had the Russell Westbrook and Derrick Rose. Outside of that, I don't think it's too many guards that you could just say is a better finisher.
So let me just read this off. So for several, so this is for Steph. This is just for Steph during his prime. So over the course of his prime, Steph shot starting 13-14 when he started getting MVPs and All-Stars. So he shot from the rim 60, 63%, 69%, 70%, 64, 67, 65, 71, 66 over the course of his prime. And
What's
then
the
over
volume?
that course of that same time
What's the
span,
volume?
over I'm Bro Jordan,
We
hush.
getting to it.
I'm
We
trying to
getting to
read
it.
it to you. So 14% of his shot volume, then 19, 23, 22, 18, 14, 21. Now, for a guard that is primarily a three-point shooter, as you tell it, that is great volume for a dude that's literally holding the defense back at half court, and then I'm getting to the basket. So basically, out of every 10
Relative to
possessions
who?
that I'm playing, I'm finishing at the rim at damn near 65, 70%. Like, that's elite.
Relative to who, though?
Relative to John Wall, relative to Russell Westbrook, relative to
Okay,
all of these
okay,
guys.
but say theirs. Don't just say Steph's in a singular point and
Wait,
then just say that's
wait.
great.
We're
Like,
not
oh my
arguing,
God,
Jordan,
for a
that
guard,
he's
that's
better.
great.
We're not arguing that he's better
I'm not
than him.
arguing that either.
What we're arguing, what we're saying is that he is one of the better guard finishers in the game. And even though
Relative
Steph
to
Curry's
who?
relative to the guys that we just talked about. during
Okay,
his
so
era.
okay. So when y'all say that, let's bring up the guys in the era and give up that same statistics. Swiper only gave Steph statistics. That's like saying this guy's the best shooter because his percentage is blah 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 blah. And then we go and look, and he only shooting 2 threes a game.
Okay, well, he just talked about where these guys, where Steph Curry is. We've seen John Wall get to the rim. We've seen Rondo get to the rim. We've seen Kyrie Irving get to the rim. We've seen Chris Paul get to the rim.
How many years did John Wall finish above 67% from the rim?
I don't know, but I'm asking you, Swiper.
None.
Not
Swiper.
One.
Not
Talk
one.
about his Swiper. This is my thing. This is the problem I have when you bring up stats.
There's no problem.
Because
If you want information, then you can ask for it. So John Wall, 30%, 27%, 28%, 29%, 38%, 31%, 37%, and on none of those years did he shoot above 67, 68%.
Swiper, none of those years did Steph shoot 38% of his shot dive.
Neither did John
at
Wall.
the rim.
Neither did John
You
Wall.
just say he did. So what?
20,
All right, never mind. All right, never mind.
10% is quite a bit of a difference.
But
Swiper, what is the volume between Steph at the rim and John Wall's at the rim? You never answered the
move
question.
on from this conversation. I really don't. I didn't even know this was a debate that like Steph is not one of the best finishers ever.
He was definitely
Look, this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You brought up a point. I challenged your point, and now you want to move on because you didn't give up all the facts.
It's not worth debating. This has already been proven. I'm not even like there's nothing else to get into.
I don't get it.
If you don't think so, then that's fine. We can just move on.
I'm
it's not even worth talking about.
Swiper, you got the stats. You said Steph is one of the best finishers in the league, and only brought
doing that again. If you
Jordan, just did it for Steph.
If you're the one that wants to learn, go learn yourself. Pull up basketball reference.
It's not about me learning. I'm just challenging your
or you can go to NBA.com.
I'm just challenging your point because I don't believe what you're saying. That's what I'm doing.
Player, it will tell you what they finished at the rim or in the mid-range, restricted area, or mid-range. Like you can just.
He's a runner.
Just challenging your point
whether Steph was one of the better finishers, guard finishers,
relative to and I asked about the volume. He only brought up Steph's volume and said it was fantastic. He said Steph was 19, 23. Yes, and John Wall volume was a lot higher.
Yes, and still not as good of a finisher, but he was an elite finisher too. I'm agreeing with you. But
Kyrie, because his volume was higher,
also doesn't get to the rim as high as some of these other people either. But you would never contest that he's not one of the best finishers ever.
One of the main reasons why John Wall gets to the rim as much because he wasn't the shooter that Steph Curry was. But I'm arguing two different things. I'm not arguing Steph.
Okay, all right. This is what I'm talking about when I try to challenge people on their points now.
No. I want you to stay right. I want you to stay right there, Jordan, because again, we've argued in the past about Steph Curry being one of the better finishers in the game and him getting to the rim.
I always say relative to who?
Yeah, and it's relative to the players that he played against: Chris Paul, John Wall, Russell Westbrook, Damian Lillard, Derrick Rose, all the elite guards in the game. Steph Curry is one of the best guard finishers at the game. Is he the best guard finisher in the game? I'm not arguing that. No, but relative to these guys, watching him play, his ability to handle the ball and get to the rim, get in ones and such, he is one of the better guard finishers in the game. I've seen that countless times.
And just for context, so Steph Curry, in that 15-16 year,
sure,
Steph Curry hit 402 threes. That very same year, Steph Curry at the rim had 400 field goals and shot 66% at the rim.
Now, Jordan's rebuttal to that is going to be relative to
where does that rank? Where does that rank in the NBA?
Okay, of course.
Yo,
asinine, like 400.
Where does that? Okay, but Swiper, where does that rank in the NBA?
What about John
Like that's
Wall?
my
What about
fellas?
I don't get that. I don't get how you only bring up one person's stats and says that's so great, but you don't have nothing compared to.
Well, here's the difference, though, Jordan. It's not my job to argue for this guy. If I'm arguing for this guy, that's not my job to argue for the other guy.
15,
No,
15,
I'm about to move the
16.
goalposts. We are still in Steph's end zone, but I'm about to move the goalposts. And the only thing I want to throw this out there. Every single year that Steph has led the league
in threes,
in 3-point attempts, he's led the league in 3-pointers made. And so right now we have a very tight race between Steph.
So league average was 62% that year.
Steph, Jason Tatum, Tyler Hero, Malik Beasley, and Anthony Edwards. Right now, Ant leads the league in field goal attempts with 587. Jason Tatum is second with 566. Steph is third with 561. So I want to monitor how close Steph can get to, or if he does end up shooting the most threes. As of right now, Anthony Edwards has made 16 more threes than him.
It's the player choice way. Yeah, them boys don't get it started. The player choice way. You're the player choice way. Come and switch lanes into the player choice way.